Oseo.
Hoseo.
That's a Cherokee greeting, and I wave the great feather for the good of it. And that's a real way for me to start. What we have right now is we're in the month of November. And for the month of November, I want to say it in Cherokee, Nu da Dedawa. And for November, it's also Native American Heritage Month. That's really, really helpful and significant. We really want this country to know that Native Americans are here still. And the way I follow that with the Cherokee is recognition. Agasedodi. That is the way that we inherit, you know. I'm trying to say that. Like that. And the first thing what we're going to start with here that's happened is, well, we have these things that happen this month. We have the Beaver moon. Wednesday, this last Wednesday, sitting out here, and that moon came up, and it looked, really, really bright and really totally full there. And so that was a really good thing to see. In Cherokee, the doi kali nudida, meaning the Beaver full moon there. And if we can look way up here on top, this is the way that I've replicated that. I mean, I've made an idea of the beaver in the moon, literally, there, so we can see that. And I heard the reason why they actually have a reason why they're saying that is because it's the time that the beavers built their dams. That is really wonderful. The Beaver Nation had been severely decimated by people coming into this country and wanting, their pelts and so forth. So in the Cherokee, the beaver was pretty significant, and there were these giant dams. I think they were even pretty old, and you had generations of beavers. And also, I remember, I don't know the story, but there's a story about a giant beaver, just saying how that for our First Nations in that part of the eastern country, where the beaver figured very, very much there. Now, even though that the beavers nation has, shrunk considerably, people still have relationships to the spirits, the way I would call it. But they have dreams or some way that spirit of the beaver, that shows up, Dori. And if you look next to the beaver moon, you see something there. You see the bony head for a beaver. This is actually a medicine piece, and this was made by Denise Otis. And I'm very happy to have inherited it, and it's just one way that I can show that people do have relations with the spirit of the beaver, and even though, and same with the buffalo, even though the buffalo nation has been severely decimated, people still, including myself, still have contact with what we're trying to say, the spirit of that nation here. And you can come down here, and I have here we call a carving of a beaver holding a little branch in his mouth. And then alongside of it, here is a beaver's pipe. This is a beaver with the wings, so he's a mythical beaver. This pipe is about 2,000 years old here, made of stone, that I've inherited. And then you can go over here to the other side. Here's another pipe. This is called a beaver tail. And this pipe was actually made and given to me for, I'm trying to say, my graduation in education, Cherokee, by the Cherokee man, who gave me the knowledge in the Cherokee. So that's I call it my graduation beaver tale here, so that we can see all of this way that we're interested in the beaver. And just to end this little segment here, I have a beaver song. Before the Europeans came here, and they have all their own systems and ideas, people here who have been here for many thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years, also, developed their own systems. And of course, humans, do have health problems and so forth. And so there has to be some inherent way that comes about, the way that people can be treated or healed or even diagnosed, So this is a little bit of a Cherokee healing song of the beaver. Somebody's afflicted with beaver fever, which way I understand is some stomach disorder, basically like that. And so it's actually called the beaver is the cause. And so the way to treat the cause is to call the spiritual power of the beaver. So it goes like this. He was sitting above south, red, beaver, he killed, it died, he's sitting above west, yellow, beaver, he killed, it died, he's sitting above north, black, beaver, he killed, it died, he's sitting above east, white, beaver, he killed, So that was a little bit of, and you're listening to this and you have any stomach problems, maybe I hope that fixes you up here. Now, the next thing in this theme here that we have going this month, Americans know it famously as Thanksgiving. And the main character in Thanksgiving is the turkey. Now, for Americans, my impression, of course, is that turkey means food. And even they show pictures of a turkey it's been cooked and is ready to eat. You can get turkey sandwiches and turkey pot pies and all sorts of things. So definitely, to Americans, turkey means food. And any portrayals, of the turkey, it's showed as, somebody who is silly, somebody who's goofy, kind of cartoon character. So there is not, in anything that I've seen living here, any dignity. There's not any dignity for the turkey. Now the name turkey, we'll say, where did that come from? It comes from the country we all know, named Turkey. And the way the story goes about this is that, the way I understand it, England was importing pheasants into England from Turkey. And so the English colonists coming here to Turtle Island called this bird that we're talking about, they called it turkey. I fail to see any similarity or resemblance between a pheasant and this bird they're calling a turkey. But that's how it got started. Now, I'm going to do a story here that is from, quote, the Navajo, a Navajo story of the boy and the turkey. So kind of, I don't know what to call it, kind of coincidence here. Very, very recently, a Navajo woman from Arizona went to the country of Turkey to visit. She was actually on a business venture with some other Native Americans. But what she found when she was there, that all these people living in this country of Turkey spoke Navajo. Now, what do you make of that? How could these people in that country be speaking Navajo? Well, of course, it means that the Navajos and the people in Turkey are speaking the same language. So isn't that a strange coincidence? Because here I'm going to be giving a Navajo story about the boy and the turkey, and they're the Navajo language for sure, and the language of the people in Turkey is the same language here. And so I'll use the word Navajo. the word Navajo actually is like another misnomer. The American names for people are full of misnomers. It actually means arroyo, but it has, arroyo is a Spanish name, but it has come from the Tewa people. That's the people in Taos Pueblo. What it means, it's actually Apatsi Navajo. It means people of the arroyo. Arroyo means a gully. And it's referring to people who plant their gardens in these arroyos, in these gullies. And somehow the Americans have just picked up on, the Navajo and have anglicized it as Navajo. But these people's name for themselves is actually Diné people. They're relatives that they have stemmed from over there in southeast, they'll call it Southeast Central Asia, near the municipality of Khotan, like that. They are known as the Na Diné. Now, Na is kind of a generic meaning people, and Diné means people who have persons in it. So that is actually the relation to these people in all of that. So I'll use the word Navajo usually. It's easy to do. And the Navajo word for this bird, otherwise known as turkey, is taji there. And so that's what we're featuring here in every way that I can do so. So we can come down below the Beaver moon. And you can see this piece here. I replicated this some time ago. It's from a fresco in what we call ancient Pueblo ruins. In other words, archaeologists have excavated the ruin, I think it's called Pottery Mound in New Mexico, and have discovered and did some restoration on the frescoes that are on the walls that they call the ceremonial room Akiva here. And so I've replicated this, and it very much fits in the story that I'm going to give you a story about. I call her Turkey Girl here, and this is her wing, and dropping from the wings are all kinds of seeds, and that definitely figures in the story. Probably this is usually an offering pouch, usually tobacco usually means an offering here, and she's holding an upright turkey feather that really is to summon rain. So it's all a fertility symbol here. And when I come down here, I'd like you to see this piece that I have feathered for a turkey, to give it some real presence of a turkey here. And I found this very colorful picture down here. Now all this is really to dignify this creature that the Americans have, called turkey without dignity. I really want to bring this through as dignity. The story, when we're referring to it, and I'll get to it, when we go over here, this is a picture, a portrayal of a Navajo lad. In the story, he's kind of is referred to, first of all, like a boy, but a boy sounds too young. He's really a young man. And so I would say that's a very good portrayal of him. And this story actually comes from a chantway. The chantway is called the feathered chantway. So I have this feather. This is actually a ceremonial feather we recently brought back from our festival with the Kauia up in Idlewild, and that's what this is. It has a beaded stem and is a turkey feather that is here extolling it as a ceremonial feather here. So that's the way that I can think that I can start. We go over there and look at another turkey I have down there. It's very, very good looking here. So we can come back, to me, and then you can refer back to the turkey boy. The San Juan River is like, if you go up in northern Arizona and it goes up into Utah and makes a loop. It really makes a loop, and it comes down and it heads into New Mexico. Before the European Americans put a grid on Turtle Island and drew these shaped squares all over and called them different states. We didn't have that before. So the difference is, like where I'm at in Arizona and New Mexico doesn't really have a barrier there. The region, sort of deserty, goes together, blends together here. But the San Juan River in the Navajo is referred to as the river of old age. And somewhere up there, where it's looped up into southern Utah, I think, there lives, a few people. And in this one, there is this young lad and his niece, as she's referred to, and his grandmother. So they live there. And he's an unusual lad. He has dreams. He has dreams, maybe supernatural, maybe spiritual. They even say sometimes he even seems to foretell things. So he's definitely been somehow, endowed or touched by the spirit or the supernatural in all of this. And so usually they refer to him as the visionary. So the visionary is a very good name for this theme for the main character in all of that. Somehow he maybe had a dream. Something inspired him to think that he wanted to somehow travel along eastward on the San Juan River. So his thoughts or his dreams gave him to think he could make a water vessel out of a log. So it seems like he found an old log, and he began to work on it, to fashion it in some way. And the people we refer to as deities or supernaturals, we call them Guié, the Guié. They observed all of this, especially since he seems to have some connection with them, so they very much noticed what he was doing and could see that his idea was not going to work out very well if they didn't chip in and help a lot. So with the mention of them, okay, just come over here. There's one little piece that I have, we'll call it sand painting, to see what a Guié, they have variety, but this is a picture of a Guié person, so they can see who they might be, like that. So the story, is very elaborate. It goes into great detail of how the Guié, fashioned a log. I don't know if it was the same one. I think they actually felled another tree to start from the scratch and worked, supernaturally with this log. And there's a lot of detail in how they did that and so forth. We can go all the way over here, just on the back of the visionary. I have a birch bark canoe. I didn't have any handy logs that I could transform into what amounted to be a river-going submarine. So I supplied this it's real birch bark canoe, and I attached a rainbow over it. A rainbow does figure in the shaping of this vessel, but it simply says this has been supernaturally shaped. It's mainly the idea that I have there. In the meantime, the niece of the visionary has a pet turkey. Now, nowhere can I tell whether the turkey is a male or a female or both. It seems to flex back and forth, But at any rate, that's a very, very important ingredient in this story of the visionary. and his niece's pet turkey there. So as several of these Gye were fashioning this river-going vessel for the visionary to be able to carry out his vision, if you could go right over here to this here, this is really, quite amazing. And I'll spend a little bit of time on this. There, whether eastern Arizona or western New Mexico, that area there, the San Juan River reaches into there. It has, a few, what I call tributaries there. And definitely people of the Navajo Nation who very well know this story, which is very, very important, they have figured that this locale is exactly where this part of the story, ends up, where it's going to be. And there's kind of cliffs that come out from the east that are kind of like a few fingers is the way I'm trying to call it. I think they're sandstone cliffs, and there is a number of pictures painted variously around on these cliff faces. I'm referring to it. Some of them definitely are turkeys. All of them are not in good condition, but this one is, and it's totally legible to me in this story. So this is what we have. This is a Gye, his name is actually, Gye Acidity. Gye Acidity. He is a humpback sheep. He is either a supernatural bighorn sheep, or he is a master of them. And anyway, he resembles them, and I have alongside of here a seri carving of a bighorn sheep to go with this here. And the hump on his back means that it's like made of clouds, and in the clouds are seeds. There are all these seeds, like I'm saying, like of corns and beans and squash and pumpkin and all those seeds in there. And so this is, that turkey, the pet turkey now is, totally in the custody of this supernatural. Now, what's really very telling, you see the way that this legs are shaped and these hands is really this. Can you see that? You see my two fingers that are like this, and then he's turning up like this. So that's what this is. He's turning up. And that is a Navajo signature for transformation. In the Navajo culture, there is a lot of transformation. And this is a very, very ingenious portrayal of how this pet turkey is being transformed into something supernatural, which also is investing the turkey with these seeds here. So that is a truly significant piece that I had found painted on the cliffs there in eastern Arizona. Here. So the story is pretty lengthy and pretty elaborate. In other words, they get the submarine, as it seemed to be, already, and the boy gets into it. Sometimes some version seems to have the turkey in there with him, but mostly the turkey really wouldn't fit in there with him. They even put, somehow a crystal in there so it gives light. It's not totally just a dark vessel that, he's just laid out in. It has more to it than that. And all kinds of things happen. Once that they launch this river-going submarine, all kinds of things happen. Some monster or something and pulls them down to the bottom, and they have to go through all kinds of things to get the monster to release the vessel with the visionary. So all kinds of things happen until eventually it comes down to where we're thinking of our ultimate destination here, and there's a whirlpool. And this whirlpool, spins this vessel around and around. And there are sand paintings, and I actually have one I've showed other times, that also helps to give another name to this feather chantway, and it's the chantway of the whirling logs, which comes out looking because it looks like a cross. I mean, to make an image of this whirling log episode, the painter makes a cross, and on the end of the cross, each end is a yay standing there to try and balance it. And it gives the image of a swastika, which is a hooked cross. But the intention is not that. It's just the way that it looks. So eventually the spinning log, comes to rest and kind of beaches itself, I would say, so that the boy can get out of this. The visionary can, emerge from the vessel he's been in through all these episodes. And of course he's kind of tired out, and he kind of goes up on the beach and finds some place to relax. And then it's at that point, now in this version, that the bird makes his appearance, or her appearance, as she comes, making that particular sound that those birds are believed to make, like gobble, 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 like that, and comes down and finds the boy. And the turkey, the Taji, puts her wing over him, as there is in my portrait here, so that shows, that the bird is comforting him here. And somehow, subsequently, it kind of turns out that the bird lets him know what supernaturally he's really about. And that's where this picture, like that, of this wing with all the seeds coming down. So the bird, stretches out wings and shakes like that. So all of these seeds, corn, beans, squash, pumpkin, all come out. And then the bird somehow imparts to the visionary what to do with them. And actually it does walk back and forth on this fairly fertile, level field, I take it, to show how to plant them, So you have some kind of lines, of these things. And that's how the visionary begins to receive this kind of knowledge we call agriculture from this very, very special Taji, this bird. So while he was tending to his garden, which is what we call it, he saw a light off somewhere. And always in Navajo stories, there's always something like that, a light that's very alluring and attractive. And so he goes to investigate, and he finds, certainly an attractive woman like that. And she takes him home to her father. In other words, she is the daughter of somebody, and this somebody is called the deer owner. And you go up here, I have this replicated petroglyph of the deer owner. He is known to be a sorcerer or a wizard, and he has to do with, he's the commander of animals that are wild and who would be hunted here. So that's who he is, and that's how he's referred to as the deer owner. Even to demonstrate his power, somehow there's a bunch of flies, and he does something, and he turns those flies into deer that go scampering off, and so forth. So the visionary, has, by way actually of his daughter, begins to understand the knowledge of how to release the wild animals to be hunted by the people. That's what he gains from this time that he's there with the daughter of the deer owner, sorcerer. So then he returns, he decides it's time for him to return. He returns down to where he had, planted his garden, and he finds that Taji, the bird, has left him. And so in that case, he he sits down, he finds a place and you sit down, and he laments. And in his lament, he gives the turkey the apotheosis of a divinity. And this is really, really significant in all of this. I'm going to read to you that piece that he composed. First, in the Navajo, all experiences are directed towards the ideal of Hojo. Hojo is like the main term, center in the culture of these people we're calling Navajo, you know. So Hojo is the intellectual, moral, biological, emotional, and aesthetic experiences of beauty. And the visionary experiences beauty in creating it by expressing it. So this is really significant in this whole matter that I'm sketching out to you. I'm going to read that, and first here is this picture of a turkey that I've replicated from an ancient pottery bowl, one of the Pueblo people, but I've replicated it from that ancient clay bowl. And from that I'm going to read this piece. Now, he's given the turkey, the Taji already had a name, Una Tunudi. So, as if this was like a letter, like that. Dear Una Nudi, you were the black cloud, the black mist, the beautiful rains, the beautiful lightning, the beautiful rainbow, the beautiful corn of all colors, the beautiful bean. In the days to come upon the earth, the people shall employ your feathers in their rituals. Unanudi flew to the east from where it had come, and all of the beautiful things that the visionary saw in the bird are still to be seen in the bird. The black of the black mist and the black of cloud are there. The flash of lightning and the gleam of the rainbow show up in its plumes as she walks in the sun. The rain in its beard and the bean it carries in its forehead. The Taji is sacred by its self-giving sacrifice, for which it embodies the giving of gratitude for our respect. Oh. So that's a very, very poignant to see that Native Americans do not customarily dine on these birds. Americans do because it's only food, but for Native Americans, this is a supernatural creature, even deified in a sense, but certainly very important. In the East, the Cherokee country, what I've learned was that these birds, there's different, species, kind of like say, of these birds. These birds are native, they're indigenous to this Turtle Island. And at the same time, there's different species of them. And back east there, where the Cherokees were, they're very large. It's said to even be about 4 feet tall. And traditionally, Cherokees used turkey feathers rather than the Plains people, who especially use eagle feathers. So turkey feather headdresses and so forth, rituals, were mostly employed. There is a film that was like on KPBS not too long ago. All I know of it is called The Man and the Turkey, and it's about a man who actually lived among the turkeys, and accepted with them. Turkeys are like the wolf that is not tameable, not domesticated. They're very certain that way, and do not lend, to being domesticated. But the people we know in ancient Mexico as the Aztecs or the Mexica, they worked on it, and they finally were able to bring into governance a species of this bird that they could domesticate and then harvest, for food and feathers like that. And so it stands to reason that all of the birds that Americans are dining on originally are that species of birds that the Aztecs had cultivated here, so that we have that idea to realize that if somebody wants to dine on this, they could say, well, at least it's not wild, it's really an Aztec bird after all. You can kind of have it that way. And along with this presentation, let me show you two of my drawings here that I like in harmony with this. This here, I call this, this is gratitude. This is a portrayal of gratitude. And on the other one, I titled that one Beseeching. They can come back over here to bring this theme, to this point where I am every way extolling the bird called turkey, or taji in Cherokee, kuna, that way, and the people who honor this bird, this creature, as a self-giving sacrifice for us in many ways here. We've spent a lot of occasions there in Idlewild in the company of the Coyote, and as far as I can say, the different native groups, they definitely have structures to their society, and you have somebody that's the head of it, like a chief, you might call it like that, and then there is somebody who takes care of ceremonies, in the Coyote, a Nate, which I'll call the captain. And so this is a piece that is being delivered by the captain ceremonially to the people. And so that's the way I'm reading this here. The captain says, and now this is what our creator Mukot did. He decided, I myself shall continue to dwell above the sky, while the people on earth will be celebrating their Thanksgiving. They only need to have gratitude for all that has been created on earth and for all that is growing. That is Mukot's intention for us. Further, he says, the people moving about on earth will have love, and they will simply be thankful, and they will all begin on earth giving thanks for all that they have received, and they will carry it upward to where I dwell, in the sky. And I will always be listening to what is being said by the people who move about. The captain now says, indeed, we believe we are happy. Therefore, let us express our gratitude that we write our claim to be happy. Now give it to your thought that with our collective mind, we may now give thanks to Mukot, who holds the sky, so that our minds will continue to be so. This is all that I'm able to do. Gracias.